Welcome back, strangers. Valentine's Day is a romantic day for many that is spent with the person they care about most. Unfortunately for others, it can be a sad reminder of loneliness and lost love. Jodine Serrin was a high-functioning, mentally challenged woman who lived alone in California. Her parents made sure all of her needs were taken care of and drove her to her different appointments around town, but they were happy for her independence. Jodine was active in several clubs in the area, and her neighbors described her as a sweet woman who usually kept to herself. On Valentine's Day in 2007, her parents went to dinner and saw a movie to celebrate their special day together. They hadn't heard from their daughter since the day before, and they knew this time of year was hard for her. She usually felt extra lonely around Valentine's Day, so they decided to go over and check on her after their movie finished around 10 p.m. When they arrived at Jodine's, they found the front door was locked and all the lights were on inside. Everything seemed normal, but no one answered the door when they knocked. They thought it was strange and figured they should use their spare key to check to make sure everything was alright. Inside they didn't see her, so they started to check around, and her dad walked into her bedroom and found a half-naked man having sex with his daughter. Embarrassed, he told the two to get dressed and meet him outside. Her parents didn't want to ruin the couple's romantic evening, but they also wanted to make sure this strange man that they hadn't met wasn't taking advantage of their daughter. Her parents waited in the kitchen, but the couple never came out of the bedroom. So her dad went to check to make sure everything was alright and found that the man had disappeared and his daughter was lying motionless in bed. He discovered that she had been beaten and strangled to death. Her parents immediately called the police, who were able to determine that poor Jodine had been dead for at least 12 hours before she was found. No one had any idea who the necrophiliac killer was, or how he even escaped. None of the windows in the bedroom had been broken or forced open, and there was no sign of forced entry at the door. Investigators believe the man may have escaped out the front door while Jodine's parents were waiting at the kitchen table for the couple to come out. Police speculate that Jodine may have willingly opened the door for the killer and let him inside her home, leading many to believe that she had known the man either through her circle of friends or the different clubs she was a part of. Police were able to collect enough DNA at the scene to complete a genetic profile on the killer. However, the profile of the suspect did not match any of their DNA databases. Investigators did have hope that one day the DNA profile would eventually locate a suspect. Fortunately, in November of 2018, David Mabrito was identified as the suspect when one of his relatives' DNA matched from a genetic ancestry database. David was a transient who killed himself in 2011. He would have been 38 years old at the time of the rape and murder. His DNA had been collected at a routine traffic stop when he matched the description of a suspect in another case. The sample was taken shortly before he died, but the police never discarded it. The sample was used to confirm the suspected match between the necrophiliac killer DNA and the relative's DNA from the ancestry database match. I'm so glad this case has some closure to it. When I first read about it, it was one of the most disturbing unsolved cases I had heard of. Do you have anything romantic planned for Valentine's Day? Hopefully your plan goes better than Stephen Grant's. On Valentine's Day in 2007, Stephen called the Macomb County Sheriff's Office in Michigan to report that his wife Tara had been missing for 5 days. He claimed that she got into a mysterious dark car on the night of February 9th, after she had returned home from her job in Puerto Rico. The couple had fought earlier in the night, and Stephen had overheard his wife on the phone saying that she will meet someone at the end of the driveway right before she vanished. Stephen didn't report Tara missing right away, because this was not the first time she had disappeared after a fight. He finally called the sheriff after he thought something bad might have happened to her when she never returned. The couple had 2 small children and Tara would always come back. Stephen struggled with cooperating with police. During interviews with the media, he proclaimed that authorities were harassing him, despite the fact they had nothing to do with his wife's disappearance. He was arrested for driving on a suspended license and claimed that police used the arrest to unwillingly take him in for further questioning about his wife. On March 2, 2007, police executed a search warrant of Stephen and Tara's home and found a dismembered human torso in a plastic bin in their garage, along with more body parts in a wooded area near Stony Creek Metro Park. While police were conducting the search, Stephen managed to flee the scene. 2 days later, a cell phone call Stephen made to his sister was tracked, and he was found 280 miles away in northern Michigan's Wilderness State Park. He was airlifted to the Northern Michigan hospital and was treated for hypothermia and frostbite. He had spent the night in the wilderness, wearing only the pants, shirt, and socks that he had fled his house in. In the hospital, Stephen finally gave a detailed confession of the murder of his wife. The two of them had an argument the day she came back from her work, and they fought until he strangled her. He then took her body to his family-owned machine shop where he cut up the corpse so he could easily dispose of it. He said he resented the time his wife had spent away on business and that they would often engage in power struggles over who was the boss and who was going to run the household. Before he confessed, a former girlfriend of his came forward with emails from Stephen where he mocked his marriage. In the emails, he offered to let the former girlfriend practice her sponge baths on him since she was a nursing student. He also claimed that he was suspicious that his wife was seeing an old boyfriend, and if she wasn't cheating with that guy, then she was probably sleeping with one of the older men from her work. He used all of this to somehow justify his actions. On December 21st, 2007, Stephen was found guilty of second-degree murder and was sentenced to a minimum of 50 years in prison, but he will one day be eligible for parole. On June 13, 2008, Stephen's father committed suicide. Some claimed it was a result of his son's actions and for no longer being able to visit his grandchildren. Valentine's Day might not be the perfect day for you, but it's not the worst, and it will get better. Don't get caught up in all the holiday hype that happens. Just take the day to remind those closest to you in your life that you love and appreciate them. And as always, stay strange.